Hey guys, Metutopia here with the beta test video for Battle Talent version 0.0.9. Now, when I started this recording or whatever time of this recording, I was working through some stuff with OPS, so I do not have footage of when I initially started testing. But I did try the first arena though, and everything seemed neat. At this point, I believe I had done multiple attempts of 2 maze. So unfortunately, this is not the first bit of footage. I hope that's okay because that's what ended up working. I do say, one of the things I first noticed, or at least right there, it's just, I love the incorporation of the gemstones into the gauntlets. This is just like, this thing is imbuing the power. Having the magic fill up being melee based instead of block based is just, it's a way better idea because blocking is just, having it be via blocking is fine, but it's just like, again, too slow. Although what I would say in some cases is maybe dial down how much it like refills or whatever. Oh yeah, and then right there was a weird rope thing. I was a little confused about how that happened. I don't know if that's a bug with the new, if there are any sort of new swing mechanics, but that just felt weird right there. Not sure if that's a bug or whatever. Anyways, I don't know if you could just have it so you could insert the spells into a gauntlet slot and then have two on each hand. Although I wouldn't know how that would work with like various functions or whatever, since that would be crazy. And man, those goblin imps, like those different goblin imp types, definitely adds for an interesting new element of gameplay. Especially if you try and go for an endless, like, all army type deal, because then it's just like, oh, this one could be a bomb goblin, this one could be a dagger goblin. It's just like, wait, what? What did I even get hit by? You could just add a whole new element to all of that that just means really interesting. So, anyways, it's just having fun, going through the dungeon, figuring out various things. Really loving the new environments. It's just like, wow, it's a huge upgrade. It feels like, especially with the different models for the skeletons, at least. And then, I mean, is something gonna replace the Dark Elves? Because I'm not sure. I mean, I don't want to. I don't know what kind of words I'm looking for, but if it was just due to a dislike of the model or it just didn't work, I understand, or maybe that's something because of the animation. Speaking of the new animations, I do kind of like how the deflect was changed. Right. In this moment, I was just trying to figure out, so what could you do to counter against these guys' knives? So then I was just kind of messing around trying to deflect them like blaster bolts, and as you can see, it worked to varying degrees before I was just like, okay, I had enough of that. Perish. As you can see, I am not the best at focusing in terms of all that, but I guess that's just one of the things of having to deal with it. Almost what feels like a completely new game, even though it isn't new and most of the mechanics are still the same outside of awesome fireball spells that you cast like you're playing FF7R. Seriously though, I just fell in love with this fireball spell. As you could tell though, still getting used to how it worked in its blast radius. Still, awesome. Loved it. More while running and jumping and swing. I think I mistimed it right here. I forget. Oh, wait, no, right. I was smart and used joystick input to help swing. Speaking of swinging, Spider Lair's cool too. But that's beside the point. Upgrade at this point. I forgot why I went into slow motion there, but I think at some point I was just like, oh yeah! When I initially started I gave myself slow motion and I wasn't used to it because I was playing the Quest version more or less a bit more before this and I didn't have it then because I was primarily playing on PC before going to the Quest version. And of course with the Quest version it's nice because you don't have any wires and feel free to move around however you want. Whereas, with the way my cable management is right now, yeah, it gets the job done, but it could be better. Although, due to other things, I probably wouldn't be able to fix that until way later. Anyways, first mini-boss room, where you really seem to notice some intriguing changes. Looks like the same room, but with a couple different things, and spikes, and other pits. Also needed to remember that fire can hurt myself. Kinda wish there was some other mana cost stuff I could have found in this run. Although, I don't want to spoil anything quite yet. The new skeleton models are just, like, incredible. You'd expect something more hardy, but it makes more sense. Like, it's something that you'd probably seen in D&D art book or whatever. Which, yeah, D&D's cool. Been playing a couple sessions with friends and that's been fun. So, yeah. Trying to get some cloaks back before other dark people use them, and I have a flute which may have more power than said cloak. Anyways, as you can tell by some of these moves, I am not the most coordinated in terms of my fighting style. That, and I just don't feel like I can move around freely because, again, said cable management. But I do what I can to spruce things up. Now, another thing I'll note since I just noticed that is, it kind of feels like you have a lot of strength power when you throw the goblins, or even just grab the goblins. I'm not sure if that's intentional or in terms of just grabbing it doing damage, but I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't call that realistic, since that's what the telekinesis is for. And speaking of telekinesis, that spell's fun, but it just takes a while to get used to. Don't mind a good challenge, like figuring out the different deflects of other things. And again, one of the subtle changes of this game version that I'm really liking was also just the change to the deflect animation, because before I was just like, oh no, this guy is going to attack you. And then you deflect it and it's just like, congratulations! Here's a little animation that we will utilize to show you that that you have completed said objective of deflecting. Yay! Whereas here it's just like them actually reacting and it's more or less just like, oh, yikes, you deflected that. I did not see that coming. Help me, I'm prone. But just little changes like that just really bring out the game's, like, realness. More than, okay, I haven't played Blade of Sorcery, so I couldn't tell you. I mean, if you want to know the backstory as to how I even got into this game, I was really just looking for, like, free VR experiences at the time. Because I had just recently gotten a desktop hand-me-down, or I guess you could call it a hand-me-down in terms of, like, getting a relatively decent deal for something that could run VR well. Which is what I am running this on right now. Oh, yeah. And then that cuts because something else IRL happened and had to deal with that. So just retightening the wrist straps and ready to dungeon roam again. Anyways, where was I? I have no idea. One of my trademark finishers that I tried to go for back there. Sort of Legend of Zelda-esque ending blow. Still trying to figure out how to pull it off seamlessly, though. Maybe I could stand to use slow-mo too. Oh. There was another thing I was observing, and I don't know if this is intentional, but when you set the violence setting, or I forget the name of it, but when you set it so that there's wounds or just like no wounds or blood still shows up on the blade. And it's just like, if you have that disabled, shouldn't that not be how it looks? Since that's the way it was for the other version, since that's primarily what I stuck with, because I'm not that big of a blood guy and I just don't prefer it in some stuff like this. I don't know, to each their own preference, but that would be one thing I would look into. Yeah. Again, really fell in love with that fireball spell. I mean, if people eventually had other spell types with that, like if they had access to the freeze effect or something, or lightning, oh boy, those spell orders will be obsolete by the end of November, at least, would be my guess. Not saying I can make anything like that because I've mainly been focusing on Unity projects for VR chat, but, yeah. Anyways, gathering upgrades, admiring the architecture and changes in, oh right, and then goblins, and skeletons, singular, goblin at the time. Yeah, I'm gonna admit that threw me off guard. I tend to focus a bit more on one-on-ones and don't really notice the other, indicators of, hey, this enemy is attacking you from the side, kinda like a spider sense type deal. Oh look, 2 Spider-Man references in one video. Well, you can blame Spider-Lair for that if you're familiar with that world in VR chat. Like I said, it's fun, and I've just sort of been on a spider tangent ever since. And then this is where I was just like, oh, wow. Not messing around with these other gauntlets, and it's just like, this one had me on the ropes for a bit. Partially because of the different angles, and again, not watching my back as much as I could have. But, all the less, it's still fun. Because, I don't know, it's new, it's a challenge. Never said I didn't like challenges. Except maybe, well, I don't know if it's just because I was used to playing with more modded weapons at the time. I used to stick more with like the Master Sword and a couple other great swords, since that was more my, you could say that's more my like preferred fighting style, I guess. It was a little hard trying to do that with the spells in terms of using a long sword in this, which you will see later in a little after thing with dungeon stuff. Anyways, at this point I was just trying to remember, oh yeah, MP refills via attack now, so you can go a little more ham on spells and magic. And then I think that was my first time seeing the bomb guys, and it was just like, oh, that's cool. And then of course the various knife guys and the new models for the enemy weapons, which, it's really nice that you can salvage them and even have that option. And it makes it seem more like, yep, this is something more along the lines of this enemy would choose from a design standpoint, and I guess function. I don't know, I mean, if it's sharp and it cuts stuff, then sure, go ahead. Do whatever you want, go wild with it. Make your backsword look more like a scimitar slash Kopesh, which, yeah. Anyways, Gauntlet 2 complete, and I really took quite a few hits back there. So that was fun. I was sort of just kind of getting used to how the spell worked, and it's just like, oh, okay, it just has a charge point. It's just like, I don't know what happened there, if that was a bug or if that was me not having enough velocity to hurl said fireball. Oh yeah, and then I did that stupid thing. So that was fun. Anyway, at that point I was just like, okay, maybe I should get a little HP before trying again. I forget what P to P means, but I'll be excited to see what happens with that sort of multiplayer, if it's gonna be a co-op deal or... Well, I don't know why it wouldn't be a co-op deal unless more skins were added among other things. I don't know. And then with this run, I just started experimenting more with some of the different weapons. I don't know. Trying to figure that out. All of the new model updates are just incredible. It's just like, ooh. And then reacquiring the telekinetic spell for what was like... I don't know if that was the first time or if that was the second or third time I had got one of those. Over my time of recording, even though this is not the technical start of the recording, so... my bad. I will work on OBS stuff in the future for if I ever do something like this for YouTube ever again, since when I upload this, this will be my first YouTube uploaded video ever, even if it is only for one specific thing. Probably shouldn't expect anything else unless maybe I get into VR chat cinematography and find a group of friends for that. I don't know. Could be fun. And then I don't know what happened with that enchantment there. But from what it looked like enchanted, it was the Night Spear, unless it wasn't anything. So, I didn't know what exactly happened there, but looks like something that could stand to be fixed, even though I have no idea what happened. I'm sorry, I don't know what exactly. I'm gonna hope that you know something I don't, okay? Because, I mean, you guys of all people should know you put your life essence into it or whatever. Which, as you can tell, the community clearly appreciates due to the reception, because, I mean, come on, this is... For a solo developer, this is incredible, but hey, it's not like solo developers can't do anything incredible. I mean, Toby Fox. Although now he's got a team for the next part of Deltarune, and man, if you've seen some Undertale worlds for like VR chat or whatever, it's just all like spam tune or whatever, and it's just like, it's neat and all because it is an interesting character and everyone's just like, yeah, I wanna be a big shot. I don't know. I'd say this or... Oh yeah, goblins screaming, doing metal or whatever. I don't know, man. Alright. And then at some point here, I think I'll pull out the telekinetic spell and then try and use the force, as it were. Kinda doesn't feel like you can do much with the way the MP consumption is though, but I'm sure it's something to try and experiment more on in the future. More a player problem and not a me problem. Because, I mean, I'm used to using the force and all from Vader Immortal, but this feels like a whole different ballgame because then you actually have to worry more about physics instead of it being programmed to be like, okay, this thing is in this animation now since you grabbed it with the force. What are you going to do now? Oh, and if you couldn't tell with some of this, I had easy swing on for locomotion because I wanted to go with something more authentic. And maybe that's partially why I took so much damage in other cases. Which, I took a lot of damage in this case too. So, that was also fun. And it was also fun having that skeleton get in my face. I mean, all I was trying to do was hit it like it was out of the park, and nope, not what happened. I found it pretty neat to just do those jump strikes on those goblin imps. I don't know what else to call them. Small, goblin, imp, diminutive, goblin, kid gobs, goblins. Okay, goblins sounds like goblin and the black ooze like merge, and then gobvenom, maybe it shouldn't add on to that. More pots to smash due to our obligation of smashing pots, and no sense of fine. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? No taste in fine pottery, even though the pottery does look pretty basic. Hence, pottery getting smashed. Yep, I was still really much trying to figure out what to do, and the MP consumption and figuring out other stuff, and it's just like, either way. Hence why I went with the MP upgrade right there, since it was just like, I need more mana to figure this thing out. Or maybe I need more than several hours. Oh, yeah. And then at that point, my battery was saying something, since I didn't really charge this before I started. I mean, 50% gets me to a good bit with the link, but I'm not using a USB-C to USB-C, which I know would increase the gameplay time a whole lot more, but it does its purpose, and it's probably enough time for me anyway. And then I was thinking, ooh, brick, use as weapon. But then I got the dimensioning all wrong, and that didn't happen. So then I just went on a rampage. And trying to hurl people's heads at each other and other stuff, which it feels like there should be a bit more of a reaction in terms of the skeleton, like just getting whacked against it. Like, yep. And still trying to get used to that levitation, and once again landing my guard down in the back. Yup. I is best battle talent player. 30 plus hours and I still died. I was still focusing a little too much on that telekinesis spell, but hey, it's new. What are you gonna do? Not try out the new thing and see what all the crazy stuff you can do with it is? It also, oh yeah, while I'm thinking about it, it also felt a little weird not knowing that you're charging up things. Like, even later on, you'll see me using a thunder spear, and it's just like, wait, how am I supposed to know that this is actually charging in terms of my MP consumption? Like, that's a little weird. I liked when there was more of a sign, and I like that there's more subtle of a sign. Maybe if it is more subtle of a sign, maybe that's just on me. I don't know, but I liked having a bit more of like, oh yes, you are triggering this weapon's effect right now. This is how you're actually using it. Or maybe it's something I'm just griping about and should really just try and get used to. I don't know. One of the two. Flip a coin, roll a 20-sided die, and if it's 10 or higher, I don't know. At that point, it should just be a D100. And once again with the Dungeons and Dragons reference, because can't get that off my mind. I don't know. In our little friends group, someone else is going to be trying to DM, so that's going to be interesting. Especially since our current DM would like to get into the action, even though he has been running quite a stellar campaign, which I mentioned some of the plot earlier, which, yeah, cool stuff. More pot smashing and upgrades I don't care for. More pots. All pots must be exterminated! I don't know. That was a failure. But I think that was just because, again, getting used to the whole swinging thing again and trying to get closer. Got it that time. Oh, right. And I was really low on HP at this point, so I was just like, oh boy. One more mishap and I'm done for. Because I'm pretty sure, as you'll see again, if I ever bother to check the map again, I am, again, very low on HP. I don't know what other kind of, like, finisher move you could do when an enemy's already down. Maybe I just need to grab more? I don't know, I'm not much of a grabber. Okay, that came out as wrong. I don't know. Now that move, I should have recognized and been proud of in terms of pulling people into spikes. I will definitely utilize them more as an environmental takedown. And again, still trying to get used to that telekinesis spell, and I had no idea what to do. And I had to put that away. Remember, I had a base. And then it was just like, okay, bada bada. Swing and a hit. And another hit. And down. And then it was just like, hey, I haven't used an axe this whole playthrough. Why not try the axe? Give him the axe. Even though they're not fired, since they do not appear to be in any sort of occupation. As far as I know. I mean, I don't know who employs these guys. Who expects them to, well, probably no one. I would make the point of the boss potentially being like, I expect you to die. But there are already 2 games about expecting people to die. If you know what I mean. And then right here, I just saw this wall. It's just like, oh yeah, I could essentially be up here. Meaning then I could do luring takedowns like that. Boom. Drop down and just be like, hey, I know you can see me, but you can't hit me, so why don't I just hit you from up here? And then I got the bright idea of, oh wait, what if I used the spear's length to its full potential and then tried hitting them? Which it turns out I'd have to really crouch to do that. So that didn't turn out to be the best idea. In terms of anything else crazy that I noticed throughout all of this in terms of oddities, I really couldn't say there was much. So, good on you guys. Yeah, feels like I don't have much to say about the game itself and rather just whatever. Would have helped if I could have gotten the live commentary to work, but then I would have had to wear a completely different pair of headphones, which were also connected to my phone, and that would have... yeah. PC. And that would have just been awkward since... Alright, this is... the attempt at the second gauntlet realm, and I was just thinking, okay, great. You're back here. Don't die again. Please? Even though I technically made it through this part the last time. I didn't make it through the first time I tried, which is not in this recording. Well, I guess there is a couple other things we could talk about in terms of, like, the arena. The arena was fine, but it did feel a little weird seeing the enemies just like, oh, wait, there aren't any doors for them to come through, they just drop down? So then I was just looking around for a bit and it's just like, oh yeah, monsters. Hi. How are you? And then even just outside of the video footage, finally seeing those new armored skeletons up close and being like, ooh, yeah, you want imposing? That's it. Unless something else comes along, which, I mean, probably not this update, I'd imagine. Still, looks like a lot more cool stuff to work with. I mean, if you guys want me to, outside of this, to try and test the quest version, if there aren't enough people already testing the quest version, I could try. Although I don't really have the side quest set up, so I don't know. Your call, I guess. So to anyone watching this outside of whoever this may concern, this is a free game that can be found on Steam and the Oculus Quest App Lab called Battle Talent. It is essentially what you see or have seen. I should mention this earlier. Hack and slash, spells. This version is the beta version of what will eventually be a new update, potentially by the end of the month, though I wouldn't hold your breath. I don't know. Or do. Challenge yourself if you really want to, even though it could be days on end. Anyways, finally made it through second gauntlet again. Yay. Also trying to get reacquainted with the whole grab thing, which I'm glad that was finally rearranged to not trigger, as that just felt weird. Like, it just did. Like, it's not actually the grip. The grip is meant more for when you feel like you need to grab things, like the sword in general, so very happy that's going to be the case from now on. Yep. And then that guy fell, and then it was just like, okay, am I really going to go down there and kill him only to have to climb all this stuff again? And then, of course, it was just like, yes, it's like, you know, gotta 100% that, you know, snow, well, you can call this snow grave, not unless I was using the ice wand, which I did have turned on, but never acquired. As of after this recording, I haven't really tried to see if any mods still function. I know that at the current time of after recording, pretty much a whole bunch of the gun mods are gonna need to be reworked in some way, if that eventually happens with this update, but that being one of the main problems. Outside of that, it looked like most blades still worked fine. I would check the Master Sword and Hylian Shield, since, well, they're personal favorites of mine, so... But I don't know yet. I don't know what I was trying to do there. The insertion did feel a little weird at some points. And I know there was supposed to be that neck thing, so I don't know if that's what I was trying out there or what. But regardless, it did feel pretty good with most weapons. Obviously not with the backsword. because either single-edged or want to know the good point of entry. Yeah, and then with this bomb guy, I was just like, why don't we play like Isle of Lost Skulls in terms of other stuff? I don't know if you know that one section with the bomb guys in Isle of Lost Skulls or Rec Room. I don't know if any of you play Rec Room. I used to play it a little more adamantly, but I don't know. I know it has some decent creators, but it's also kind of controversial because it's more... I don't know. Either big social thing on the Oculus Quest 2 will obviously have kids. Rec Room being... I want to know which to call a greater evil. It's just like both have their problems. The one technically does not have a problem because regardless the game is like centered more or appealing more to kids, but it does have its level of adult players, but regardless it is aimed more as for kids, whereas VR Chat is not for kids and yet still has kids rampant because of the Oculus Quest 2. And I don't know what the moderation team is doing, but it feels like it's never gonna be enough. Unless they adamantly have a thing where if enough people report someone as doing something, then it would get an auto ban. Like if that was even an option in a future update of report user... What am I looking for? Adolescent? Or some other fancy term for kid who should not be on this platform for multiple reasons, including the fact that VR can mess with developing eyes and potentially hamper locomotion in those of the younger demographic outside of 13 at least. Which... And all of these semi-sensible adults let out a collective sigh. More messing around with telekinesis, trying to figure out what that is. But yeah, if I had one like little thing about that, it would just be, there should be more of the reaction. Like, there shouldn't be that much strength put into throws, it doesn't feel like, unless you actually want the player to come off as that strong, or something else. Whereas with telekinesis, it's just like you're technically using the strength of like your will or whatever, so you'd figure it'd be like, oh yes, the weight of this person is colliding onto this person, and he is not going to be able to stand on his own 2 feet after something like that. I don't know, that'd just be my logic. Yes. And then my whole thing with the Skellies started laughing like, I'm dead. Or just jobbing the skull. I don't know. I've done that a couple other times and it just seems fun. But I didn't expect it to land on the axe stuff like that. So that kind of funny. Game physics, everybody! So, still making my way around, smashing pots, having fun trying to work on maps, and if I'm correct, no, it was a little bit later when my HP was at 23, so of course I couldn't take that many more hits. But regardless, I only had so many HP upgrades at the time, so yeah. And then that happened just to help things out. Alright, and then I was just like, I prefer swords over spears, even though I do not dislike spears. Spears seem more cool in Breath of the Wild, since it actually feels like you can utilize them in an intriguing way. This is just like, I can't exactly get a good combo of spirits, and basically you have to be Gabby McStabberson. Alright. And then pretty much for the rest of this part, my HP was at 8 because I could not find anything to help me. And I was just lucky that nothing else hit me, and that I was able to hit everything else before it hit me. You know? So at this point I was just like, okay, I am really low on HP. I basically can't take a single hit around the gun. So that's when I went a little more aggro with my fighting style. Intriguing insertion moment right there. And there goes his arm. Oh, right in the face, and he's down! That's not even a TKO, he's just straight up. Oh. So I was still trying to go through all the different rooms, basically hoping I had something, but what I basically ended up doing was finding the boss room and not finding anything else. So for the rest of the time, I was just going full aggro to make sure that these guys couldn't get me, which I like to think I did a pretty good job of. That, I will admit, I was very satisfied with that move. I don't know how the insertion just came in right there to trip up the legs and then just chop that Skelly's head off, but... Satisfying! Still trying to look around here, get my bearings. Running into different places and just looking for health desperately. And that's when I found the boss room. And knew I was not going to be prepared at all. So what do? I turned tail and run. In search of proper stuff so that I can actually fight the guy well. And, needless to say, a while later, I found what I needed. I was very, very happy about that. Back to the final fight. What's it going to be? Who is going to... Yeah. We don't talk about that. And I was just like, ooh, this one looks different. And they upped that goblin speed. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't something different. But now looking at it, I am at least glad that he's using a different weapon models. That's also cool. Finally remembering I have slow motion and then go a flurry rush on the guy. Boom, no problem. Got the dizziness, and he's down! I felt pretty good because that was like my third attempt on the tomb maze, and I was just like, finally, finished. Yay. Woo! Yippee! Gold! Gold to daddy, gold to daddy! I don't know, just trying to narrow it myself. And then the clapping just for like, well done! All the new design aesthetics of the mazes. even what felt to be some of the slight texture changes in the main hub, and it's just like, it feels like it's improved so much over the course of this one update. And then I decided to end it off with a bit of endless ultra army stuff, which turned out to be a bit of a mistake. Because again, with those new goblins, and all of said goblins having new projectiles, you have a lot more to keep track of. So if anyone were to actually beat this type of endless mode, whew boy, we'll just get those out of there. Okay. Try and gun with a, I don't know. I guess you could say Cloud Strife sort of loadout. Two-handed sword, fire spell. Materia! Except they're crystals. There he goes. Oh, wait. All of the skeleton level 2s would be that. So then I was just thinking, okay, fire. And as you will see, I mainly failed all of those deflects. Since, oh boy, the timing felt different. Oh wait, except I got that one, but needless to say I couldn't get it consistently, is what I was saying. So again, just messing around, seeing what the game can take. And of course with less, like, legitimate enemies since the Dark Elves have been taken out. Of course I can handle it, no problem. Oh, right. And those... Wait. I forget. No, the casters are gone too, aren't they? I'm guessing those are gonna be coming back later when you actually have a plan for how to implement the new whole spell thing, would be my guess. Regardless, you have set a nice new basis, so kudos to that. So I guess since this video is kind of wrapping down, I'll just wind out my first impressions. It's just like, would I recommend this version? Yes. It is still a good step forward from what its predecessor is. A lot of stuff's been upgraded and will continue to be upgraded, so you can't judge the game by this one update, as it is not the full version yet. But what is here is still incredible. And the modding community, I'm sure, will show this game's, like, real potential in terms of what else could be added and implemented with the introduction of the spell crystals from this version's legitimate release. And whoo boy is that going to be exciting. I don't know if you changed the sound design for the Thunder too, but I also like that change very much. And I just could not get over the fireball spell. Seriously. One of my new favorite anythings. Not gonna lie. And I still took that hit, even though I was in slow-mo, because apparently those new juggernauts can tank a whole lot of hits before they're staggered. And again, just trying to watch myself from all the other projectiles, and it's just like, yeah, this really is chaos. And then at that point I was just like, okay, I probably have enough fudge, which, as of right now, almost an hour, so, yeah. So, great update, little iffy in some parts, which have already been mentioned in other areas of this video, but, yeah, overall, really likey. Can't wait to see what comes next. So, bye for now, YouTube, and thank you, Battle Talent. Yeah, see ya.